All right. Today we're going to be talking about ethanol, which is arguably the most important biofuel today. So, what is ethanol? Ethanol was first isolated by Lowitz in 1796, and since then, engineers have been trying to harness it as a fuel. In fact, the Model T produced by Henry Ford offered ethanol as a fuel option, but most customers opted for the cheaper gasoline. Today, ethanol is a popular alternative to fossil fuels. It's clean burning, which means it emits less greenhouse gases, and it is carbon neutral. The most common place you'll find ethanol today is under the hood of a car. Ethanol actually offers power and efficiency benefits, which is why many tuners will install E85 kits. So, how is ethanol made? Well, we start with either sugarcane or corn. In America, we grow tons of corn, but in countries like Brazil, they use sugarcane for this process. These crops are grown using irrigation and machinery, so tractors and combines, for maximum efficiency. The crops are harvested and milled to break down plant material, and then we process the resulting starches into glucose. From here, you can see the diagram down below that ethanol is a product of alcoholic fermentation. So we add yeast to the glucose solution in order to start that alcoholic fermentation process. We then distill the solution and dehydrate it in order to separate the ethanol from water and other impurities. I mentioned earlier that ethanol has been around since the 19th century, so of course it's been thoroughly researched and adopted in industries. We talked about how cars can run on E85, which is a mixture of 85% ethanol and 15% gasoline. And you can see a picture of a gas pump here showing you that we've adopted an infrastructure that promotes E85. On the left is a picture of a power plant that actually runs on ethanol. So we also know that we can also produce electricity using this biofuel. As we mentioned before, ethanol is a clean burning fuel, and it is also carbon neutral, meaning that the CO2 it produces upon burning is about the same amount of CO2 absorbed by the plant it was harvested from. However, we also need to account for the energy consumed by farming corn or sugarcane, because farm machines require fuel of their own. We also need energy in the purification process, because when we distill the ethanol solution, we need heat. Overall, though, the carbon footprint is less than that of fossil fuels because they undergo even more processing, yet they aren't clean burning fuels. In terms of the economy, ethanol is actually quite beneficial. We can reduce our energy dependence on oil by diversifying our energy sources, and ethanol is a viable substitute for oil. Additionally, we need jobs in order for ethanol to be produced. Ethanol demand will drive agriculture and produce jobs in ethanol power plants and ethanol processing facilities. A potential risk of ethanol is its impact on our food supply. Since we use corn for ethanol, there's less corn available as food. And although corn specifically isn't very important to us directly, it's the main ingredient in livestock feed, which means that its scarcity will increase the price of meat. Over time, the public is becoming more aware of biofuels as their use becomes more widespread. The federal government passed the Renewable Fuel Standard program that mandates a certain amount of biofuel to be included in transportation fuels, which help the public trust biofuels more. Many people find out about ethanol when they see flex fuel badges on cars sold with E85 kits, chiefly Fords and General Motors cars. Additionally, an organization called the Renewable Fuels Association leads information campaigns to educate various communities about the benefits of biofuels. So, where are we right now with ethanol, and what should we have planned for the future? Well, right now, 98% of all gasoline in the US contains at least 10% ethanol, so its presence is already widespread. We know that ethanol is a cleaner alternative for gasoline with a reduced carbon footprint, and over the years, we have been increasing our applications of ethanol with power plants and E85 fuel. I think that we could benefit from more cars using higher concentrations of ethanol in fuel. So I would propose a mandate requiring all cars to be E85 compatible by 2035. That way we have enough time to transition the technology and we can still use internal combustion engines rather than suddenly shift towards EVs. Additionally, if funding is not an issue, we can push for subsidies on sugarcane farming as it's a great crop for ethanol harvesting. We can also push for even further subsidies on corn, although it's already heavily subsidized, so that enough corn is available for both ethanol and food. All right, and these are my sources. Thank you for watching.